Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP John Paz. With me today, very special guest, former WWE superstar. He is one half of the Highlanders, Mr. Rory McCallister. Rory, welcome to the two-man power trip. How you doing?
Hey, good, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
What's going on in your world? What have you been up to?
Oof. That's well, there's been a lot of stuff going on actually. Uh so where would I start? I almost died a few weeks ago, if that counts. Uh
Whoa.
I got real sick. Ended up I had all the warning signs and everything, but I'm a single dad with two kids and everything else, and I've got a fairly important job and missed all the warning signs, man. Ended up with blood clots in my lungs and pneumonia. So yeah, I was told I was a day or two away. So
Whoa. Wow.
there was that. Um, Apart from that, man, good. I am just living my best life. I'm enjoying what I do. I'm enjoying raising my kids and doing stuff like this, like seminars, meetings, podcasts. I have my own podcast also. So yeah, man, just keeping it really busy, but in a healthy way.
So what happened with the blood clots though? Like what was the issue?
Well, I was for a week prior. Um, I had a really, really bad fever, a little bit 102.8 for 3 days, and get tested for COVID, nothing. Then, 2 days after the 3 days, I was at fever of 1. I was massively dehydrated, but they don't know what the viral infection was that caused that. They have no idea. So I went back to work and I walked up to the office, and one of the managers was like, you need to sit down. And I'm like, no, I'm good. He's like, no, Rory, sit down. I didn't realize I had like really bad flop sweats and my legs were just shaking like crazy. I didn't feel it. So I went to see the on-site nurse and she would not release me to go home or anything. She's like, you're going to the fucking hospital. And thankfully she did it. And thankfully that manager was looking out for me, because otherwise I would have been departed, as they say. So my heart has stopped twice in my life. And then this happened and I figured, I'm not a fucking cat. I don't have 9 of these. So I'm taking this as like a last chance rebirth. Since then, I've dropped 42 pounds. I'm super active. And one of the nurse actually, she says to me, she's like, this is the worst case of, somebody not taking care of themselves she's ever seen. She's like, if you were gone, who looks after your kids? And I went, well, the mom's not a good option. So she's like, my birthday's on September 28th. She's like, on or before September 28th, I want you to walk back into this emergency room and tell me what you're going to do for yourself. So I was like, all right. Went home, thought about it for days, had no idea what I was going to do. And eventually I came up with the fact that I've never missed an athletic goal in my life. So I go for a CAT scan in X-ray October 10th. And if they give me the all clear to go back to working out, I am going to give myself a year and I'm going to try and compete in a seniors bodybuilding competition, natural bodybuilding competition, and kind of go from there, man. So focus on myself. And then once I've done that, I want to do a farewell tour. I've already got some places that have said that, they would want me to go, and is that be part of my tour? So there'll be some places here in Ohio, couple of places in Illinois, head up to Ontario, head over to Europe, and then what I would like to do, and we've actually spoken about this a little bit, I'd like to finish up in Scotland, and I've had a couple of offers already. And I don't know if you know who Teal Piper is.
Oh yeah.
So, you
Roddy's
know,
daughter.
yes, exactly, yeah. I was talking to Teal. Well, I was talking to her husband actually, Mike, and I'm like, man, it'd be really cool to do something over in Scotland with you and Teal. You know what I mean? And because Roddy became a big part of my life. You know what I mean? And he really kind of helped me a lot and made me focus on a lot of things that were important. And he was a great man. So it'd be nice to kind of finish off in Scotland, where I didn't start, but I'd like to finish there. Um, with some kind of gimmick with her and Mike. So yeah, that's been the last few weeks, man. Realization that time is finite, that I want to achieve, what I want to do, and I want to finish it. Because I never really, somebody told me one time that athletes die twice. They die once at the end of their career, and then they die when their heart stops. And I never really put a full stop in my career. Robbie's still going; he's still doing his thing up in Eastern Ontario, Canada. But I just kind of not fizzled out or faded away. I just kind of gave up on it for a while. So I'd like to finish it off where I feel comfortable.
Were you always into bodybuilding and stuff? Like, why do you want to do a bodybuilding competition, or were you bodybuilding before wrestling?
I mean, dude, at the point I was in so much gas I could have been. Trust me, I was super jacked. Um, there's actually pictures of me from like before WWE. WWE kind of killed my spirit. But before WWE, when I was in independence, I was cranked. But I never did any bodybuilding competitions, so it's something I haven't done. And I figured no, it's tough. It's very hard. I've got a dietitian. I've spoke to my doctor about it, so I'll be monitored every step of the way. But it's just something I want to do because it makes me focus on me. And I've got to be the center of my universe. We all have to be. Everybody saying my kids come first. Well, if you're not putting yourself first, you're in a city situation, and you almost fucking die. Then what happens to them? You've got to be the center of the universe. So, what?
What's your phone?
I'm on an interview. Go away. Um, he's trying to take my charger, which he took last night. But yeah, man, I've never done it before, and I figured I think this would be a good thing, man. Like no negatives, something to achieve, which I've always kind of strived for, and then I'll be able to work out with my son all the time. He's a gym beast. So yeah, man, just something new.
With like wrestling, you're going to go back to wrestling for sure. And you mentioned a bunch of places like Scotland and Ohio and stuff. Will you be teaming up with Robbie for that?
Some of them. I'd like to. I mean, dude, I'm still. Robbie is still my heterosexual life partner. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We were on the road so much. I mean, we started together. We hit the road like the old guys used to do. In fact, Arn Anderson he called us the last of the old guard. Um, there's always a place in my life for Robbie. And yeah, I mean, when I head up to Ontario and stuff, absolutely, I'd like to do matches with him there. There's War Wrestling in Lima, Ohio, which is, we were one of the OGs there. We helped start it. And, with a guy called Stevie Lee that was locker room captain there. So yeah, I'd like to have him involved in some of them, but there's some of them that will be personal to me. That when I put up that thumbtack in my career, I want to finish that with me.
You mentioned Roddy Piper. How was he like a mentor to you? I guess maybe WWF, you guys, I know cross paths. So, like, how was he a mentor to you?
Well, we didn't really cross paths in WWE. We worked quite a bit in WWE. We did a lot of
Eight
stuff.
mans, right? You guys did a lot of 8-man tags and stuff with him and Flair?
Did some stuff with Cade Murdoch. We did Madison Square Garden twice together. Then did overseas tours. We'd done some overseas tours with Roddy. In fact, probably the best overseas tour of my life. We went to Glasgow, Scotland. We did Aberdeen too, but the night in Glasgow was very special. It was my first time back home, and that was my hometown. And it was me, Robbie, Roddy, and Ric Flair against the Spirit Squad. But Roddy did this like big introduction and everything else. It was a very special night. That night actually was the catalyst for him finding out he had cancer. He did a sunset flip with Mikey, and he jarred his back, and that's when they found out he had cancer. He had taken to the hospital that night. But then, just after that, we did a lot of work together. We were this guy called Pizza Joe used to do these tours through New York and to Pennsylvania, and then down into Ohio. We did those tours, and he was on those. So there was a lot. I spent quite a bit of time on the road with Roddy, and I'd always kind of like. I mean, it's Roddy Piper, for fuck's sake. He's got so much knowledge,
Right.
I'd ask him how he shaped his career and what he enjoyed about it. He was just a really sweet guy. He had time for everybody. So yeah, there was as much time away from Roddy.
Was he crazy at all? Was he, subdued Piper? Like, how was he on the road?
Oh, dude, Piper was very calm, collected, and smart man. Really smart man, actually. He wasn't at all. I mean, his gimmick was his gimmick, and he played it beautifully. And there, I mean, Roddy could fire up. He had a temper on him, but he was just a real sweetheart of a guy, man. Just very composed and very, very smart, especially in the business. I remember asking him, I'm like, how did you start getting main events and stuff, Roddy? And he's like, I used to lie to the promoters. He's like, he would intentionally be late. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'd be sitting at a gas station for like, an hour and a half, and it's supposed to be the second match. He says, and I'd call them and I'd tell the promoter, I'm like, listen, I'm going to be there, man. He's like, just put me high on the card. So they were putting him on the card later, in the second half of the card in the draw, pretty much the draw matches, because she was telling him he was going to be late, but he was on his way and he was doing everything to get there when he was actually just sitting at a gas station eating a bag of chips waiting for his time to get there. And I'm like, that's fucking gold. Because then they started seeing him, people knew he was working the draw matches, and they started actually just putting him on there. And that's how he worked himself up. And I thought, that's fucking genius.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody else say anything like that. I'm like, that is completely, or maybe I just haven't spoken to enough old timers, which I've spoken to thousands of them. But I just thought that was really unique to Roddy. That made me laugh my ass off. That's awesome.
Pretty damn smart. Like, hey, I want to work higher in the card. I'll just show up late.
Yeah, dude, isn't that great? Like, who have you ever heard that from? Oh, I worked my ass off to get there. And he did work his ass off. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking that away from him. But just those little things, those little nuggets of knowledge I thought were fantastic.
Yeah, you need a little something because everybody's working hard. So you need that little edge or that little something to put you over the hump.
Right? And he used his brain.
What do you think is like the best piece of advice to give you? Maybe not even just wrestling advice.
That he gave me?
Yeah.
Treat the, well, he was the guy that we got there and we were doing our thing and our shtick and everything else. And I fucking hated the gimmick that we had. I even told Vince that before we started it. And I remember talking to Roddy, and he just told me, he's like, kid, all the bids for a reason. He's like, get as much money as you can, as quick as you can. You know what I mean? He's like, don't be one. You hear, guys. He's like, you're here for a reason, man. He's like, you're here to make money. You're an independent contractor. Well, you're here. He's like, get as much as you can, man. Like, don't. So we did. We haggled, with Vince because of that. But that was probably the best piece of advice because you're always like striving to get somewhere, and you want to get to WWE. And you're going to kiss ass, and you're going to do anything they want and everything else. And that's not really how it works, man. You know what I mean? Like him, and then Hacksaw told me something similar. He's like, you got to take what you can get because it's finite, man. You don't know how long this is going to last. So, that advice definitely kind of helped me out. But even when I went back to the independents, I mean, I'm not coming in for somebody because I used to work for them or I'd worked an independent show for them before. Now I'm back off of TV. I ain't working for you for $100. You know what I mean? I'm not working for $50. Like, you're going to pay me. It is a business. It's my business. I am my business. So that was probably the best piece of advice, to start treating it as something that I do that I truly love, to something that I do that I deserve to make money for.
Yep. Very true. Great advice, even from actually, you got to do what you got to do in the business to make money, and that's the end game. It is the wrestling business.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what he said. That's why they call it the biz. It's not just their biz; it's yours. So
Very true.
yeah,
You mentioned you didn't like the gimmick. You didn't like the Highlanders gimmick?
fucking hated it, man. Uh,
Wow.
it came about, but well, here's why, man. And I'll get to how it kind of came to fruition. So before there was the bushwhackers, there was the sheep herders, right? So smart on their part. You're on the downside of your career. You're getting a little bit longer in the tooth. Switch to the bushwhackers. Now you're a merchandise seller. Now it's easier to work with. You've got this comedy gimmick, but they also had the background where people knew they were the sheep herders, and they used to fucking rip people apart. I mean, some people were scared to work with them. You know, if you go in as strictly a comedy gimmick, you have a very certain glass ceiling that unless they introduce you as a killer and you're still kind of funny, if you're just a comedy guy, you go high quick, but know you're hitting that ceiling. It's very, very, very hard to break through that. Ultimately, to break through that, you have to go away for a while and completely repackage. Do you know what I mean? So after having conversations with Roddy and Hacksaw, um, I knew I had I had to try and make as much as I could at that point, but also that when I was talking to Vince, he's like, be fucking honest with him, man. Like I remember the Hacksaw was actually had said to me, he's like, tell me what you think, you know. And we went in. There was me, Robbie. I think it was Johnny Ace, Steph, and Vince. And they're like, man, these promos are getting real good hard looks, getting solid reactions. The crowd's loving them. They're going to love it when you guys show up. What do you think? And I went, dude, I think it's horseshit, but I'll make it the best horseshit I can possibly make. And he just kind of looked at me, and I heard Johnny. He's just go, oh. But I was being honest with him, you know what I mean? And Robbie was the same way. Like I know Robbie was he was vocal about it, and he get more vocal the longer we were there. But it was just, like I said, it was something that we knew we probably weren't going to escape. So, but not to say it didn't give us 3 great years, man. And it really did, So I was happy with it. So
When do you do like debut with those vignettes? What do they say? Like, hey, you guys are supposed to be the new age bushwhackers, or like, what do they say to you guys?
it was it was brought up a couple of times. So what had happened was, me and Robbie, I loved 99% of the people at OVW. Right, I'll start by saying that. Nightmare Danny Davis, Julie, all the workers, even Al. He gave us a little bit of bad advice. We spoke about later, but even Al, loved them all. Didn't really get along with Heyman. Heyman had his guys. They were most definitely his guys. At that point, Brent Albright, Seth Skyfire, CM Punk, Beth Phoenix, stuff like that. And he just didn't really have time for us at all. So what happened was they started doing these backstage gimmicks. And for us it was just, hey, just stand there and say something funny. Like that was the direction we were given. So it kind of turned into like the Muppets, those two old guys.
Yes, yes.
And that's kind of what we did, like fucking they cut from a segment, stick the camera in their face, and I'd say, hey Robbie, that wasn't half bad. And he'd go, no, Robbie, it was all bad. Like dumb shit like that,
Yep.
And then one night, me and Robbie were just really pissed off because they sent us canvas and they made us, Heyman made us go out in our fucking gimmick to Walmart to hand out flyers for the show. And I'm like, fuck you, man. I've spent years paying my dues. You don't do this to nobody else. It was, I felt a little like he was just dismissing us. Anytime we went to him, it was just dismissed. And we get back, and this was the whole night. They had a running segment going, an angle with CM Punk and Ken Kennedy, Ken Anderson at the time. And we were standing backstage, and again, no script, no direction, no fucking anything. And they said, hey, Ken's going to come up to you and ask where Punk is. Just tell him he's in the next room, right? So I'm like, fuck this. So here comes Ken Anderson. He's like, looking outside. He's like, hey, weird guys, have you seen CM Punk? And I cut this ridiculous fucking promo, like just the dumbest promo I've ever cut. I'm like, I've seen Punk's stupidest Scottish accent I could put on, you know what I mean? Trying to make a Scottish guy sound not Scottish.
Yeah.
And I've seen Punk He came crashing through the ceiling. The violence was disgusting. There was a pump to the left, just this dumb fucking promo. And Ken's just standing staring at me, went, "So have you seen him?" And I went, "Oh yeah, he's over there," you know. And he walked away. And we actually got kind of in shit for it because we took up like a whole bunch of fucking time. But they had to keep it in because otherwise, they couldn't edit it out really. So I went back home thinking it was hilarious. I kind of popped myself. The next day we go to training and they play it because we always, after TV, they'd always review it the next day. And everybody's going, promo of the day, just making fun of me. And about an hour after that, I got a phone call from Ed Koski. And he's like, "We've seen what you did last night." And I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sakes." He's like, "We'd like to bring you in. We've got this whole idea. We were talking about it this morning. And we're going to bring you in as like a kind of bushwhackers type, team." And I'm like, "Well, fuck, here's my chance." I went, "Hey, man, why don't you start as the sheep herders and then we'll transfer over to the bushwhackers?" And he went, "Who?" And at that point, I knew we were fucked.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like your boss, Johnny Ace, was the guy that used to carry the flag for the fucking sheep herders.
Yeah.
Asked who? I'm like, okay, this is going to be different. So me and Robbie were like, fuck it. If it gets us away from, having to deal with handing out flyers and shit, then, let's do it. So they did. It wasn't long after that they flew us out to New York City, and we started doing the promos.
With that, it's like the guys don't know enough from the writing points, even though one of the head writers, they don't know enough about the past to really be writing wrestling. It's kind of in a certain way.
That's kind of how it felt, man. I mean, I could be wrong, but that was most definitely the answer I was given. Who? Uh, Maybe I caught him on a bad day or in between coffees. Because Ed Koski was actually a really nice guy. I liked Ed. I don't know if he's still there or what he's doing now. But yeah, let's see, me and Robbie were smart to the business. We'd been in it for a long time at that point, and we knew it wasn't going to be stellar. But it was a means to an end. I mean, I had no visa until I got signed with WWE. I was crossing the border every 60 days to get a visa for Canada or a visa for the US. Like back then, before 9/11, it cost $3, and you would get this visa. And so I was a man without a country. I was bluffing it the whole time. So when they hired me, I got a work visa, and I'm like, if I get on TV, maybe then I can start to work them for a green card. Do you know what I mean? So this was, for me, this was a means to an end. So we accepted the gimmick, and then we're in New York City.
Did you get your green card?
I did. And dude, I'll tell you, it pissed a lot of people off. I know Edge was kind of mad at me because all the Canadian fellas, they were still trying to get the green cards. You know what I mean? Like Edge, Val Venus, Christian, a bunch of them, and they'd been waiting quite a while. Mine was approved inside 24 hours.
Wow.
Because what they do is the first thing the government asks, I guess, or the immigration, or whoever the fuck it is, they say, "What can this guy do that an American can't do?" And WWE said, "We need a real Scottish wrestler, and as of right now, he's the only one." And they approved it overnight. I had everything sent. So yes, no, I did get my green card, which was pretty awesome. I needed that.
And unprecedented 24 hours. Yeah, that's great.
That's dude. Laura Couton told me she submitted it on Thursday, and it was approved. But she called me on Friday and said it's been approved. So I don't know, man. I mean, WWE's a big company with good lawyers and stuff. Maybe that was what happened. I have no idea. I just
Good for you.
high and dry.
Yeah, I mean that's great for you. So obviously they have an idea for you guys, and they literally mentioned it. Like they want you to be like the Bushwhackers, the comedy babyface team of Raw or whatever of WWE.
Yeah, essentially, man. And then there's always the big, you guys would be huge. I'm like, whatever, bro. I can't. It's like, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we already knew what their game plan was. It was fairly easy, and I mean, we're tag team also. So as a tag team, we understand that we're never going to hit those dizzying heights, you know. But, It was WWE, man. How you going to say no?
Do you think though that totally limits you as a team being the comedy baby faces? Like even
Oh,
wrestling wise?
absolutely, man. 100%. Um, it did, especially when we first started it, because this was a weird thing. Like, people didn't even want to take our finisher. You know what I mean? Like, our very first match on TV, now our finisher was a reverse, in testament to Arn and Tully. It was a reverse suplex off the ropes. So rather than have them in a regular suplex position, we bend them over like that and bounce their back of their legs off ropes, take them over. We'd been doing it for years, never hurt a single soul. You know, did it all over the country, had done it in multiple countries. And we get there, and Conway was like, yeah, dude. And I know he was fine. He's on number one, he was on the card, so I know he's fucking fine. He's like, hey, my knees hurt, I can't take that. I was like, it's our fucking finisher, man. And it gets pop every time. It's huge. I'm not taking that. And I can't remember who the producer was, but I says, did anyone don't want to take a fucking finisher? He's all come up with another finisher. I'm like, but it's our fucking finisher. You know what I mean? It's the most violent thing that we do. And they made us come up with this bullshit fucking double inverted Samoan drop, which looked ugly because we'd never fucking done it before. We practiced with one of the enhancement talent guys, you know, one of the indie fellas, but it looked like shit. So that also kind of paved the way because it was the crowd went kind of good for it, but if we'd hit that fucking slingshot, dude, that would have been crazy. So that also took away from it because now we started with a finishing move that didn't look as devastating as our finishing move.
Did you want to go back to that original finishing move, or they wouldn't let you?
No, we did. We did.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, we did. I think not long after that was when we started the angle with the Spirit Squad, and we used it in Unforgiven up in Toronto in 2006. So we established it, you know. And the funny thing is, nobody's used it since. It's still firmly, you know, ours until somebody else uses it. But yeah, no, it was something we started doing even when we were training.
And that's a good move too.
Hell yeah, it is, man. It's devastating move. And the thing is, look, when you bring the guy over in the reverse, or girl, and the reverse is 21st century, right? And you know, you bring them over, like you've got them here, so when you end up rotating them over, their chest is right here on your shoulder, and their head's perfectly protected. And they come over at the same time as you, so your body's hitting before, you know, at the exact time as their legs. So the chances of hurting somebody with it are virtually zero. And it just looks devastating because, you know, you pick them up, they bounce this way, then they hit the ropes, bang, they're back the other way. Looks great.
What's Conway's problem, or what was his problem?
He said his knees hurt. He says, if I take that, I'm going to smash my knees off the ground, and my knees damaged right now. I don't know if that's true or not. But it kind of, and I love Rob Conway. He's a good dude. You know what I mean? He really is. So maybe his knees were hurting and he was being pushed into that spot. I don't know. But the kayfabe their finish, and I wasn't happy with that because I said to the agent, and I wish the fuck I knew who it was. I said to the agent, dude, it's our finisher. I want to get my finisher on. But, you know, you don't want to get too much of your shit in, but when this is a highlight match for us and it's our first one live on TV, I want to get my shit in. And they told me no. If I come up with something different.
Wow.
So that again, that set the tone that we weren't being taken seriously as far as devastating talent goes. You know, small things like that I kind of look at and analyze. Maybe I overanalyze, but because the reaction from the crowd was still good, but it was the longevity and what it did for us moving forward that kind of was a little bit disappointing for me. You know,
And the Spirit Squad had no problem with it, apparently.
no, dude, we had known each other from OVD. We came up at the same time. Like I think they started 2 weeks before us. Before we went on the road, and you know they were working with like Big Show and Kane, and they'd already pushed them onto like main event gimmicks. They did great. Like, I loved every one of those guys. I still talk like Johnny Jeter. I talk to him all the time. Mondo, Candone. I mean Nemeth. Dude, those guys were classic workers, man. They could have main evented any show, either one of them.
Did you like that gimmick, the Spirit Squad? Because I know it was a little bit more deadly in OVW than it was in WWE. They made it more cartoony, obviously.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, man. But they did it the right way because I mean, that's going to. So that was basically the new generation's Mean Street Posse, right?
Right.
But sure, they brought them in with a hokey gimmick. Cheerleaders, where are you going to go? If you just, but so if they'd done that gimmick and they'd started with, you know, low to mid carders, it would have been a very hard one to pull off. But the fact that it was Vince's inception, these guys are put in with, like I said, Kane, Big Show, Flair, you know, fucking Piper, all these guys. So they got a lot of the rub off of that, and because of that, it prolonged what they did. Now, the way they finished the Spirit Squad, I thought was really unprofessional and fucking rude. Those guys had so much more to offer. They put them in a box and put, you know, send back to OVW. That was disrespectful, man. Those guys made a lot of them shine, especially Hunter and Sean.
Yep.
They made, because they came back, and you know they're going to get a good reaction. But the reaction they got when they were working with the squad and what the squad was willing to do for those guys to, I'm going to say, man, like they shone Hunter and Sean. It wasn't the other way around, you know. They were fucking had green shit dropped on them. They were constantly punked up without one complaint or anything else. I thought those guys did business very well.
Did you like, you know, your matches with them? Because obviously you guys, like you said, you can only go so far, but did you like wrestling them? Did you think you had good matches?
Very much so. It was weird because I mean, we were both getting in as gimmicks, you know, very strong gimmicks in an era that didn't have gimmicks. You know, this was the start of everybody just having a name. You know, like I can't even think. We'll just make up a name like Derek Johnson. But what the fuck's a Derek Johnson? You know what I mean? Like, we were throwbacks from the early to mid 90s. You know, we came in very strong gimmicks. And people really seeing two gimmicks working each other. When you're a gimmick working a non-gimmick team, the non-gimmick team has to understand how to work your gimmick to put it over. And, you know, you've got to work as a gimmick to put them over as regular wrestlers. That's the fine art of wrestling. That's the part where the perform, you know, like fucking calling everything backstage doesn't work. And it's why I've never appreciated or liked that. But when you work with two gimmick teams like that, you've got to try and get each other over, and it's a dance. So for a lot of it, it didn't feel awkward, but you could tell the crowd was trying to feel it out. You had to tell the story with them. Like, if you watch the match from Unforgiven in 2006, it was basically put in as a popcorn match. It was the match before, I think they shaved Big Show's arse and stuck Vince's in it, I'm pretty sure. I think that was it. Anyways. Yeah, watching a giant shave his arse is weird, by the way. The locker room was awkward that day. But the match itself, if you watch the match, it was very classic tag team wrestling. Still putting the gimmicks over, you know, but very classic tag team wrestling. And the crowd was kind of slightly confused with it until we got to the end. The last 3 minutes of that match, the crowd was as loud for it as at any other point during that pay-per-view. So I loved working with those guys, and they were always willing to work with you. You know, there was nothing we ever said, let's do this. They said no. They were always willing to try stuff. And, you know, if they didn't like it, they would give you a reason as to why they didn't like it, and you would tweak it. You know, they were just great guys, man.
What the hell's going on with the Big Show? I know they put Vince's head, but they said to him, like, hey, we got to shave your ass, like, because Vince is going to do this spot.
No, I walked into the locker room and kind of caught this. Apparently, because they were going to put Vince's head in his butt, they said, if you've got any hair at all, shave it off. And I walked into the locker room and she had Bic in hand and come walking out and jokingly asked somebody to check his arse. And I was like, okay, we're leaving. So it was a snippet and gone for me. But yeah, apparently, the fact Vince had started going through this thing, because we were making the transition from standard definition television to high definition, and he just started fucking hating body hair left and right. You know, like, shave your arms, shave your legs, tan, do this stuff. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be a fucking caveman from the mountains of Scotland, you know? Like,
yeah.
After, and he's like, if Undertaker's doing it, you're doing it. Good point. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, that was clean shaven was definitely, and that the fact, dude, if somebody's going to push your face into somebody else's arse, you don't want to come back with an arse hair in your face. You know what I mean? Especially if
Yeah.
you're
Especially it's going to be the boss's face that's going in his ass. So yeah.
that man, that would be a fine I wouldn't want. So yeah, no, he was. I'm sure he was pretty smooth back there.
Did Big Show have any problem with doing that spot at all? I mean, that's that's a pretty weird spot. You know what I mean? That's a little crazy.
No, dude, Big Show was, everything I'd seen when I was there with him. He was very, very professional, man, and he's always joking and laughing and everything else. Really fucking cool guy. I don't think. I mean, that was how he was there so long. He was willing to change himself so many times just to make it work. He did. He did business, man. Him and Batista did something that I genuinely loved watching. You see a lot of guys when they're doing like a 2-on-1 with something like a handicap match, and they're the big guys. They're the star. They would just go in and smush them and go, yeah. Show was smart to that, man, and so was Batista. If you watch some of their matches, they would let people like beat the shit out of them. Batista, especially. I remember watching them work in the Major Brothers before they went on TV, and oh no, they were on TV at the point, and he let them kick the shit out of them. Then he quick comeback, smashed them, won the match. Hey, because now he just beat somebody. Show was like that too. They understood the business. Just very smart people.
What did you think of Undertaker? You mentioned him, the locker room leader, the conscience, the franchise. What did you think of Taker?
I never had a bad interaction with him. But he's also one of those guys that I didn't like go to all the time to sit and have conversations with because I was intimidated by him. You know what I mean? That the fact I was fucking huge fan for him, man. I mean, I sat backstage and I heard that gong probably fucking 200 to 300 times. And every time it still got me. You know what I mean? Like, he was just the perennial gimmick. For a guy that was a gimmick wrestler watching, everything he did, every single move he made was with purpose. I thought he was just amazing. So, but yeah, no, he was definitely the locker room leader. I heard some stories about that, but he was also a very fair man. Like after the TNA thing, I think respected Robbie for some of his actions on that. You know what I mean? And he calmed some people down and actually made some people back off away from Robbie that night. So I don't I had and still have a tremendous amount of respect for Undertaker.
Obviously, when they showed Robbie on TV on TNA, because he was sitting in the crowd, I know he was backstage, and they told him to go out and sit in the crowd, and of course they filmed him, right?
No. He went out on his own. I we have made so we've had many conversations about this, Robbie and I. And it's still, I mean, when you think about it, it's what 2007. It was 15 years ago,
Right.
and it's still one of the most talked about things. It's hilarious, man. I mean, I looked at the views on it just on one stream. One stream somebody put on here on YouTube. It had like 3.7 million views, and then there was another one for 1.8, and another one for 2 point something. And I says, dude, you were on TNA TV for about 10 seconds to 15 seconds. I say, so per second, you're the most viewed thing TNA's ever done. And I want to make him a shirt that says that, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
TNA most popular YouTube character. But I was not surprised when he did it. He was at a time where he was burnt out with WWE at that point. I know he had some stuff going on in his own personal life. I had been gone for a while. I got hurt. I was after a match with Finlay. I completely destroyed my shoulder, and massive tear in the pec to the point where it fell down into my chest. And we went down to WrestleMania. I wasn't even supposed to go, but Steph called me, and she's like, "Hey," because I told her I did like canvas painting and stuff. At that point, I was doing a lot of canvas painting. That's a couple of mine there behind me. But she's like, "Do you still do the painting thing?" And I says, yeah. She's like, do you have any you're willing to sell? I'm like, to you? She's like, no, we're doing a charity auction down at WrestleMania. I'd like you to bring something down. I'm like, well, okay. So me, the family, head in there. And when I get there that day, Vince was having his WrestleMania speech. He always has one, it's an annual thing. And he'd mentioned TNA. And he says, listen, we're here to represent WWE for WrestleMania. We don't want anybody going to the show, period. Obviously, people are going to go and hide it backstage. And I don't know what it was. And I've even said this to Robbie, but I just had the feeling that he was going to fucking go. And so what he told me after the fact was he made the conscious decision to go outside and sit where he sat. Nobody prompted him. Nobody told him to. Nobody coerced him or anything else, from what I understand. And he went out there. Maybe subconsciously he knew what it was going to do, But I'm in the hotel room. I had my son with me. He was only 6 weeks old. And John, I remember Johnny Ace calls me, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about, John?" He's like, "Your cousin was just seen on TNA television with his real name, and what the fuck is that all about?" And dude, I couldn't help it. I started laughing my ass off. It was my first reaction. I just started dying. I'm like, that crazy motherfucker. And at that point, I didn't know what his intentions were at all. But just the fact.
You weren't pissed, though. You were laughing.
Oh, man. Dude, here's the thing. I knew this was going to be detrimental to my career. I knew this. This was, even though when, I spoke to Johnny later that night and I went, dude, this is going to fucking burn me. I'm still going through rehab and stuff. And he's like, no, you'll be all right, kid. He says, your cousin's going to have some heat, but we'll figure it out. And I'm like, that's not how this works, John. And he's like, no, we'll be fine. So, but the thing is, man, honestly, I knew it was going to be detrimental to my career, like I said, but I had just had a son. I was raised by a very complacent father who I don't know if he gave a shit one way or the next, but they divorced when I was young. And I really had no solid father figure until my stepfather showed up. And here's me holding my 6-year-old son. And he's all I want to be around. I want to surround myself with him. I just want to be a daddy. And I've got my green card at this point. I'm in a relationship that's now over, but I still have my son here. My son's with me full time. And that's all I wanted. I just wanted to be a daddy. So I thought, worst case scenario, I get fucking fired, but I'm a smart guy. I've survived independence before, but I'll have my son and I'll be able to see him every day. And that's all I ever wanted in my life. So it was a concern for my career. Yes. Was I angry at Robbie? No, because he had been asking them apparently for time off and they kept saying no. And I think he was just kind of burnt out, And you're an independent contractor. I hate the fact they treat you as a fucking employee. Like, you can't have a sick day. You can't do this. You don't have PTO. I'm my own business, motherfucker. You know what I mean? I am who I am, and you're not paying me as an employee. You don't give me health insurance. You don't give me benefits. You don't give me a 401k. You don't give me shit. I'm supposed to take care of all that myself. And I think he was just pissed and burnt, and he made that decision. And although, can I say, did I support it? I still don't know if he did it on purpose or not. I mean, like, even he's like, I don't remember. He's like, maybe I did. But, it was what it was, man. It became the talk of the industry for a very long time.
Yep.
And ultimately, we both came out better for it. There was gripes. I was kind of the same way. Like, if you watched WWE up until that point, you could see my physique was deteriorating. I just didn't give a shit. I really didn't fucking care. I loved being in front of the crowd, but the rest of it, I'm like, man, I was happier in independence, and I was much happier than prior. So the worst case scenario was to go back to independence. I'm happy working there, and I get to see my boy.
What is it about WWE that so many people say that, like, I'm burnt out, this sucks? I mean, how do they suck the life out of you like that?
I don't think it's them sucking the life out of you. I think because don't get me wrong, it's a great place to be. As a wrestler, you want to be in WWE, and it will give you some experiences you'll get nowhere else on this earth. But there's a sacrifice to that. You'll work through injury. Now, it's different. Don't get me wrong, it's different now than it was then. Like I had my knee was fucked, like really bad. So what did it do? I couldn't take time off. That wasn't the picture because if you take time off, then somebody else took your fucking spot, and you're shafted. You know what I mean? Like now you got to come back and try and reestablish, get ahead of the game. So I was getting cortisone injections into my knee fairly regularly just so I could go out and compete, and to the point where it actually fucked my knee up really good. And it wasn't done there. It was only ever done there one time. Um, but then I remember Trevor Murdoch was fucking dying. Like he showed up, he's in the locker room and he is puking his guts up into a bucket. It looked like he couldn't breathe properly and everything else. I went, why in the fuck are you here, man? I'm like, number one, you look like dog shit. Number two, you're going to get the rest of us fucking sick.
Right.
And he was just like, if I don't show up, I'll get in trouble. And I don't know if he would actually get in trouble, and maybe he didn't know, but it was just that paranoia. You worked in WWE, and again, it's changed a lot to today's iteration of what it was. But back then, there was no. I mean, shit. How many purges have they really done recently? Back in the day, you had 25 people in OVW, and then they started up Deep South, and there's about 25 people there, and then you had 30 on each roster, right? So that's about 60 to say about 110, 115 people, wrestlers total. Look at what they have today. I think they've got something close to like 350, 400 people under contract. Like it's insanity. You know what I mean? And they don't purge, they just to hold on to you and see where they can use you. And that the fact they don't want you going anywhere else. So there was definitely an air of paranoia then. You weren't secure or safe at all, and there was people barking at your heels to take your spot all the time. I enjoyed being at WWE. I just didn't enjoy being told fucking every minute of every day what I was going to be fucking doing. That was something I did not enjoy, especially coming off the independents and being on them for years and running my own schedule and everything. I wasn't happy with that. And then I wasn't happy with the fact that, there was several stuff, man. But just the fact that you don't feel like a free entity. You don't feel like an artist. You don't feel like an entertainer. It's what they want.
So you saw the release coming, and you had no problem with the release when it happened.
No, actually, it was weird, man. And Johnny Ace used to call me every week when I was going through rehab. How you doing, kid? I said, I'm fine, man. Looking good, getting stronger. All right. I said, I still going to have a job. Oh, yeah. And so when he called, he told me all the way up until then that I was fine. I had a job and everything else, When he called, I was driving to I'd actually just left my house. I made the first turn on at Jenny Lind Road, and my phone goes, and he says, hey, it was something like, I can't remember the exact words. It was something like, I got your cousin or I had your cousin on the other line, and we're letting him go. And I never even waited for him to say anything else. I just went, then I'm done, Johnny. And he was like, are you sure? So I think I might have caught him off guard. He's like, you sure? And I went, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I think I am. Yeah, I'm good. And he's like, all right. And I says, hey, if you're in town. Now, I didn't find it till later he was a rat bastard piece of shit, and he was the one PTing to get us fired. Steph apparently didn't want us to go, and but he was really PTing with Vince. But yeah, no, I never gave him an option to answer, and I hung up the phone, and I was like, all right, man. We're going to do this all over again. You know, and I knew that my cousin would be there. I knew we could get bookings because we had a TV rub. But I also knew, even if that all fell apart, I'm an educated man. I'm a smart guy. You know, I've got a lot of experience behind me. I could make another career work if I had to, which I have. But no, I wasn't. I wasn't upset. I wasn't really that upset at all, which is weird. You know what I mean? Like, because I thought I'd be devastated, but I really wasn't. And the first phone call I made was to Robbie to make sure it was all right. Or actually, he might have called me. But
He wanted to make sure you were okay with it.
I can't remember. It's so weird, man, because I was more focused on the fact we were getting our first family pictures taken that day. So I can't remember who called who, but I remember talking to him. I don't even remember what we spoke about, but I definitely remember talking to him. It was kind of surreal that whole day. Yeah.
It's one of those things with Johnny Ace. It's like, I don't know. To me, like if you see that 203 or he's calling, like you said, he did call you for like rehab and stuff, but
Yeah.
from like that thousands of interviews I've done, it's always like Johnny Ace kind of was like the axe man. Like if he calls you, it's like shit. You know what I mean? Like you knew it was bad news usually.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing was, too, that me and Robbie had talked that Monday night before we flew back, because normally they'd have his work. I don't know if people are aware of this, but they had us going to Raw, SmackDown, and ECW. We did multiple shows. You know, Raw was our home brand, but they would always fly us in the next day to SmackDown and ECW in case they needed a backstage segment, because they still, kind of enjoyed what we did as far as promo stuff went, or, another set of bodies, so it was just for anything. So we were kind of the utility guys, let's say, and Vince loved us for that. He told us that. He's like, I can put you guys anywhere and you'll make it work. I remember having a conversation with one time. I gave him a bottle of brandy when I came back from Greece, and Metaxa brandy, by the way, beautiful stuff. And I was just I gave him the thing, and he's like, "Thanks so much, man. How's everything going?" I went, "Yeah, looking forward to being a main eventer." And he started laughing, and he's like, "Never going to happen." But he's like, but I can trust you guys anywhere. He's like, you guys can make people coming up look good. So they put us in, when Miz was kind of fairly new, and he was working with Morrison. They put us in multiple matches with those guys. They trusted the newer guys for us to be able to shine them, make them look good. And he told us that, and I thought that was a great compliment. It's probably it was a very nice compliment to get from Vince. Before he fired us.
Right.
But as far as Johnny went, so we knew they didn't fly us to SmackDown the next day. And I was like, okay, that was kind of a trigger. And then the match they put us in was against like Shad and Jay. And it wasn't a very long match. And I was told it wasn't a long match because they didn't want to strain me. They just wanted to ease me in because that was my first match back from surgery. And that night, me and Robbie ended up at this bar in Richmond, Virginia, and we're just like, fuck all of this, man. Like, this is bullshit. Like, where are we going to go from here? And blah, 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 blah. So I think just the fact that we were both a little bit pissed off made that phone call on Friday a little bit smoother.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. See it in mind. Yeah.
And we've both done very well for ourselves since leaving there. Not that, I mean, if given the opportunity to go back, I'd love to work with Todd and them, what they call the Viking Raiders. Because number one, they're kind of using my gimmick. And and I'd definitely still go back. Number two, I think they're fantastic. I'm a big fan of those guys. I think what they do is just awesome, man. And two, I'd like to go back to talk to McIntyre and tell him to stop saying he was the first fucking Scottish wrestler in WWE. Kind of pissed me off. He did it on DDP Yoga, and that really got under my fucking skin. Really got under my skin. Because he wasn't, he was a weekend warrior. He was at university in Scotland. Now, don't get me wrong, Drew is a really sweet guy. Nice person, unless he's changed, which I highly doubt. Just a really nice man, and I enjoyed being around him. And I thought, and I still do think, obviously, with the career he's had, hell of a worker. But I lived on the fucking road for 6 years, traveling from town to town, living in a 1991 Escort, never getting a fucking hotel room, using the money I got from independent wrestling to pay for gas to get to the next fucking town, to hardly eat, to wrestle again, and do that over and over and over, and sacrifice my country, my family, my life, everything else, to live in a fucking car, to become the first contracted Scottish wrestler. I signed contract at the start of 2005. I was on TV at the start of 2006. Probably like the spring of 2006. He didn't sign his contract until I think 2007. I'd already been with the company for over a year and some odd. For everything you've achieved, don't fucking take that away from me, because I earned that fucking spot. I earned the right to say that, and it's highly disrespectful to go there telling people you're the first fucking Scottish wrestler in WWE. That's horse shit. My career was what it was, and I highly enjoyed it while I was there, as far as the wrestling part went. But my goal, and it was my goal, was to become the first contracted Scottish wrestler in WWE. That was a goal I set when I left my country. It was a goal I achieved. I don't like that somebody trying to take that away from me because they have a bigger platform than I do.
You think, though, that's not totally all true, and that's WWE rewriting history because they want him to have that moniker, even though he technically isn't the first?
I don't think so. I mean, if it is, that would be disappointing, because I sacrificed my body, my time, and my life for the company.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And I've never been a detractor of theirs at all. I would, like I said, if you're a pro wrestler, you want to be in WWE. I had many good times. I made many lifelong friends. So I don't know if that was the case, that would be disappointing. But it was actually on a DDP yoga thing where he said that to Dallas, and I was like, it was funny because the only reason I knew it was there was because my brother put a comment saying Rory McCallister was the first Scottish wrestler. I never got a reply. But yeah, no, I don't know if that's something that's being broadly advertised, but that would be really disappointing because, like I said, I did everything. And if I had signed and I had only done one match with them and they fired me, I would still have achieved my goal. That was my goal that I wanted to do, and especially when they told us you're coming in as, these arse-scratching fucking weird Scottish guys that haven't existed in 700 years. I knew that was a goal I was going to have to accept and move forward. I was never going to be a WrestleMania main event or anything else. So I set my goal. I achieved my life goal, my bucket list goal as far as wrestling goes. I don't want that to be taken away, especially because my platform is nowhere near as big.
Now, as we hit the wind down, we head towards the finish. You mentioned a podcast. Tell us a little bit about the podcast and where everybody can find it.
Oh yeah, it's called the Wood Podcast. WUD. It stands for Wake, Urinate, Dominate. So it's me as a retired athlete. It is one of my friends who's a retired Air Force person, and then my other friend who's a stand-up comic. And ultimately, it's three guys in a bar. We built this. I mean, the studio, we actually built a studio. It's got a legit bar and everything else. We've got the green screen back there. And it's just three guys talking and being guys. Rather than, there's no PC to it. There's no anything else. It's only three guys just existing, being three guys. Are trying not to be offensive, but at the same time, just talking about pretty much everything. It's a lot of fun. It's on Twitch. We go live on Twitch. I was off for a while, obviously being really sick. We did our first one back on Friday. So it's Fridays between about 7 and 9:30. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, I believe.
Now, as far as you, where everybody can find you and what you're going on, like social media and stuff like that.
Yeah, Rory McCallister on Instagram, Rory McCallister on Facebook. I tried the Twitter thing. I'm not much of a twatter. Um, it,
Yeah.
I'm not big on technology. Even though I run a flight line at an airport. I'm not big on technology. I'm good with airplanes and all that kind of stuff, but when it comes to this Tweety thing, not very good. But yeah, no, Instagram, Facebook, Rory McCallister.
All right, Rory, thank you so much for all the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're more than welcome, mate. Anytime.